Today, I'm going to give you guys the best settings for Modern Warfare 2's PC beta, and we're going to make sure that we're going to be maximizing your FPS whilst maintaining a solid visibility in our games. Now before we jump right in, I wanted to put a disclaimer. This is my first ever tutorial video. I hope you guys like it. Also just wanted to add in that definitely this is the beta, so there are going to be some settings that might change. So if you guys want an updated video when the release comes in November, definitely hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on the updated video. Now let's just hop right in. Alright, so first thing first, we're going to just hop in, start off with our graphics. We're going to make sure it's set to full screen. Now if we set it to full screen and not full screen borderless, if you are a content creator, I highly recommend putting on full screen borderless so you can alt tab out of your screens really fast. But setting it to full screen will allow for your video, all your resources to be allocated essentially to your game. But since I have an RTX 3080 Ti, I don't have to worry about it. Also, now that we're at the refresh rate, you're just going to keep it at auto, and it should be set to your monitor. And then we're going to turn off dynamic resolution. We don't need any more system resources being allocated to that. Make sure your display resolution is set to your monitor, obviously the good stuff. And then when we go down to aspect ratio, we're going to keep it at 16:9 or automatic to what your monitor is. Most people have 16:9 monitors. I know there are curved monitors out there that go beyond that. Heck, this video is in 16:9. We're going to keep it there. And then we're going to move on to VSync and VSync menus. We don't need any of that off, especially if you're playing at a high refresh rate monitor. I have a 165 hertz monitor, Asus monitor, that I don't have to worry about. And also, if you have VSync on, there could be some issues with input lag and input latency, which you don't want to mess with, one thing for sure. Now we're going to move down all the way to custom frame rate, but one more time again with the VSync is that you want to keep that off. It's alright if you have running it at an unlimited frame rate. Speaking about frame rate, a lot of people think that you should keep that at unlimited. I don't think so. You want to hit your custom menu, drop that menu down, and keep it up at all the way to high for gameplay. Menus, keep it at 100 or so. Keep it at the default value that I have there, and it should keep the menu experience very smooth. And then when you alt tab out, it'll go back to 30. That allows for less memory restraint, especially if you're using OBS to record your video. Now to brightness, I would suggest just ignoring the barely visible or the easily visible calibration. Each monitor is different. I would suggest just playing around with it. I found a good value is 55 for me. It keeps the video clear. Now focus mode was introduced in Call of Duty Vanguard. It basically turns off your or puts a black overlay on your second monitor if you do have a second monitor for streaming. I would just turn it off. It's probably just more system taxing, unfortunately. Now for high dynamic range HDR mode, I turned that from automatic to off completely. Now we're going to turn off high dynamic range. I would suggest if you have a high HDR monitor or a dedicated HDR monitor, to not use this for especially any multiplayer game at all. It's much more resource taxing on your GPU. Also, you don't get the high fidelity that you need when it comes to first-person shooters, and of course frame rate is limited. Now don't forget to hit the apply settings, and we're going to move on to quality. We're going to set everything back to its defaults just so I can show you what I have, but I'm going to lean towards visual quality because we want to get the most cleanest and highest fidelity as possible. My resolution got set back to 50, but I would recommend keeping it at 100 so you have a nice balance. Everything is pretty much the same. We're going to keep NVIDIA DLSS off. Now one thing I wanted to point out, if you have an AMD CPU like I do, or I think it's available even on regular Intel chips or anything, we're going to turn on Fidelity FX. It just allows for you to have just more crisp, it does not tax the system at all. It's great. I would recommend keeping it at a nice healthy 75%. Some people like to bring it down lower. Some people like to make it like a lot higher in value. Now on to anti-aliasing. Now it seems that anti-aliasing, we're back to that era where we only has SMAA, T2X, and Filmic available to us. And I know a lot of people when they go to play Warzone, classic Warzone, they just turn it off completely and just allow for NVIDIA DLSS to take care of everything. But I personally think we don't need to have any of that enabled, I'm gonna actually turn off Filmic SMA and just put it down to SMAAT2X, which is the bare minimum, but the AMD Fidelity should really help with making everything crisp. Of course, just make everything on high if your system can handle it. This is kind of like personal preference at this point, but anything that has anything to do with textures, I would recommend putting on high, and anything else on low or medium. Sorry, medium. And if you are still chugging at the end of the day, I mean, what can you do? You're going to be playing at low but if you want the best fidelity as possible, the most frames per second, keep it at high and make everything else medium. I'm a content creator, so I'm going to keep everything on high. But I want to go back to why I kept the anti-aliasing at the lowest possible. It's because Filmic tends to make everything very blurry, and I don't know, it feels like Vaseline smeared on the screen. That's my personal preference, and also a lot of others first-person shooters understand that. Now for tessellation, I would put that near if you're chugging. For me, like I said, I'm a content creator and I want to get the best possible results in, and also I like to play everything with high. I have an RTX 3080 Ti after all, with a Ryzen 5950X. It's great, you know. I'm going to keep the shadow map on extra, have those good RTX features enabled. Outside of DLSS, I don't really need to worry about that. I think I've gotten the best results with the open beta by using that. And also, you can cache your shadows. Now here's a thing I want to talk about: depth, which is the post-processing effects. Weapon motion blur, turn that off. Film grain, turn it completely down. World motion blur, you're off. I mean, I don't know. I tried to play the game with motion blur, but it's one of the first settings I would turn off when I play any FPS games at all, unless I'm playing like a third-person shooter or something and it's a single-player game. But it doesn't feel cinematic. Now moving on to the view, the camera. I'm gonna keep the weapon default on its default field of view. Affected field of view at 120. If you're new to changing your field of view scale, especially for those console gamers, I would recommend just moving it up to 110 so you have more of the advantage to look around. I know it's set to default 80 or 90, I can't remember, but I have gotten used to gaming with 120 affected field of view, and it is the best experience. It's why I can land my shots more than I can. First person camera movement, bring that all the way down. You don't need any more extra jerk. I hope they really do patch out, but the visual recoil on these guns are horrible. Like, the gun just jitters everywhere and it's hard to keep up. But nevertheless, we're going to move on to audio. Now this is, of course, personal preference. I play with a noise cancelling headphone, so I'm going to keep everything on settings of headphone. But this time, they've gotten rid of the pesky, weird naming skills of war tapes and everything. You just have the preset of TV, monitor, speakers, headphones, and headphones beast boosted. Now since I play late at night, I don't want to keep my volume up, so I like to keep my headphones on bass boosted so I can hear the footsteps a lot more easily and everything. Now accessibility, another feature that's pretty much up to you what you want. I want to talk about the mini map. It's this time, thankfully, around it's set to square by default, which is classic Modern Warfare 2 square. You know, no Modern Warfare 2019 circles. Even in Modern Warfare 2019, you can change it to a square, because why? Well, squares allow for you to see more around your mini map, and it's great that way. As opposed to being on a circle, you're gonna just miss the red dots in the corners essentially. Controller players should know their settings right by now. Mouse sensitivity. I have a video coming out on how to determine your mouse sensitivity, but if you remember your settings from Modern Warfare 2019 or Warzone or even Vanguard, it's pretty much the same mouse settings. I'm just gonna go in, change some of my key bindings. It's pretty much all default. Somehow they've done a pretty good job with keeping a lot of it in line. Oh, and one more thing, I want to show that you can actually set your dive and your crouch behavior to independent, so you're not accidentally diving out of harm's way or running and diving by mistake. You want to keep that all independent. Eventually there's going to be armor. There's an armor system in the game, so instead of just applying one, I'm just going to put apply all, so I can just top off every single time I go down. Especially with Warzone 2.0 coming out, I'm pretty sure that's going to be a feature. And then for advanced combat behaviors, I'm going to keep the weapon mount system to short. You don't want to be caught in an animation when you're switching in and out of cover. Same thing with skill streaks, just gonna keep it in numerical order so I know my keyboard. I can just go 3, 4, 5, and there we go. That's my 3 kill streaks that I have available. Again, set my free look activation. Everything is short basically. Anything that requires an animation that gives you a short, medium, or slow behavior, I'm just gonna switch it to short. Double checking my danger. Now here we are at key bindings. Like I said, I'm gonna keep everything pretty much default, but since I'm a Battlefield player, Z is to go prone for me. Crouching and sliding is the control button. I've just gotten used to that, you know. That's my key swap and everything. I know it says that it's taking up another spot, but I'm not going to be using any voice chat commands within the game. I'm going to be using Discord with my buddies, and if you didn't notice earlier in the audio section, I had turned off voice chat in the game. It's not just because to get rid of toxic people or someone to be randomly playing like copyrighted music, but that's pretty much it. Now, a new feature to the game is that you can actually, if you're having trouble finding settings, you can just go into settings and then press F on your keyboard and it'll just bring up the search function. That'll allow you to basically search up all the settings you need. So for example, I can search up FOV and I'll find it and it'll be right at the tip of your fingers. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Anyways guys, this is all the graphical settings that we want from Modern Warfare 2's beta, and this will maximize your FPS, maximize your visibility, overall give you the best quality experience for the game possible. If you found this video informative and you want to see more videos like it, let me know in the comments below. And also videos surrounding Modern Warfare 2's beta and as well its full release in November is going to come out, so please do subscribe, comment below, leave a like, leave a comment. Let's get the conversation going and hope to see you guys in the next video. This is Shari Mustafi signing out, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.